next 4 days to keep LeBron happy. You are not going to be able to win with the Lakers this year by making massive changes or any changes. Your best case scenario is that LeBron plays like a top 5 player and AD is healthy for the entirety of the playoffs. It is possible. We saw them make a run to the conference finals last year. I'll just say this. I would love to get LeBron if I were a team that needed sort of a supplemental piece, but only if LeBron's ready to be a different kind of player. I think LeBron's at the point of his career where 20, 25 minutes a game, saving his body, load managing, coming off the bench even, a place, and I've said this, like Memphis maybe next year, like Oklahoma City, like the Knicks, Cleveland would make sense. Places that are really close and he could be a catalyst, but not the guy, is the spot. Do you really think he's ready for that? Maybe he is. You're not buying it.
No way. I mean, he's still one of the, 12 best players right now?
12?
He's put
maybe
25, 8, and 8 on a bad team. Granted, a bad team.
Yeah, maybe 12. This guy's amazing physically. He's like you, social. It's another level of excellence. All right, fun show. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you. Pretty Daddy appreciate you. See you back here tomorrow on CBS Sports Radio.
Getting your biggest tax refund from Jackson Hewitt can lead to some spirited reactions.
Jackson Hewitt, yeah!
Jackson Hewitt is so sure that you'll get your biggest refund that if they don't, you get your money back plus $100.
Jackson Hewitt, yeah!
And Jackson Hewitt also guarantees the accuracy of your return for life.
Yeah!
So don't just sit there. For your biggest refund guaranteed, walk into a Jackson Hewitt today and dance out Jackson Hewitt, yeah! Is that a horse?
Actually, it's a wild stallion. Since Navy Federal Credit Union's Platinum Card made it easier to tame our holiday debt, I wanted to see if I could tame something else.
Uh-huh.
Help me saddle up. I need to pick the kids up from school.
With a low intro APR on balance transfers, the Platinum Credit Card lets you take control of your debt. Learn more at NavyFederal.org/platinum offer. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Insured by NCUA.
If you missed the Brian Bailey Show, you missed.
First-year hitting coach Henry Lartigue. And as a hitting coach coming in, do you look at everybody's swing and then you decide what you're going to change if you decide to change anything?
Correct. And I think it's about just having that relationship and that trust. And one, if we can make the adjustments without ever having to change a mechanic, that's the route that I would like to go.
Right.
Because I think those are simpler to make, easier for the player to handle, and we'll watch video and then reflect from there.
Tune in Mondays at noon for the Brian Bailey Show, powered by Greenville Utilities, right here on Pirate Radio.
Pirate fans, the 2024 ECU football season will be here before you know it, and season tickets are on sale now. Lock in your season tickets to be a part of the Dowdy-Ficklin experience all year long. Season tickets start as low as $115. Payment plans are also available to fans who lock in their seats early. Just head to ECUPirates.com or call the athletic ticket office at 1-800-DIAL-ECU. We look forward to seeing you in Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium in 2024.
Do you want to get rid of wrinkles, tighten and lift your skin, smooth your skin texture, erase veins and brown spots, get rid of unwanted hair and under-eye fat pads? Are you interested in Botox or filler? Contact the licensed professionals at Beauty Bar Medi Spa for a free consultation and ask about our newest technologies and treatments. Learn more at beautybarmedispa.com, Red Banks Road, Greenville. Enjoy your visit, love your transformation, and go Pirates!
Here with Jeff Stein at Brown & Wood, it's a great time to buy a used vehicle.
It's not a great time, it's a perfect time to buy a used car from Brown & Wood. We have over 115 used vehicles in stock, and we're number one in the market on price. We have limited lifetime powertrain on all of our used cars under 80,000 miles, so go to brownandwoodauto.com to find out more. 4 brands, 3 generations, 2 rooftops, and 1 goal, to make sure you leave a happy customer.
Hey Pirate Nation, be sure to have the best and comfortable shoes with a stop at Fleet Feet. This is ECU alum Chris Lunyon, owner of Fleet Feet of Greenville, and we provide solutions through one-on-one service to runners, walkers, and everyone in between. Fleet Feet has the tools and technology to get you in the right shoe, including a 3D foot scanner that measures arch height, width, and more. Come visit us at 207 East Arlington Boulevard in the old Gordon's Golf location. Fleet Feet, we run for you.
Hey Pirate Nation, this is Russell with Russell's Clothing in downtown Washington. I want to let you know that our winter sale is now gone to one half price. That's 50% off of all our ladies' remaining winter product, our men's shirts, vests, coats, slacks, outerwear. We have a lot of stuff that's got to go, making room for spring merchandise. Remember, everything has been reduced to 50% remaining in our winter sale. Celebrate 41 years with Russell's and save big. Come see us at Russell's Clothing in downtown Washington.
Saturdays are your day to kick back, relax, and have fun. That's why Ottavola Market Cafe is the perfect place to go for dinner, drinks, and takeout. Ottavola is open every Saturday at 4 p.m. on the bar side, serving a special selection of menu favorites of appetizers, pastas, and specialty pizzas. Whether it's dine-in, takeout, or drinks with friends, Ottavola is the best choice every Saturday starting at 4 o'clock. Visit OttavolaMarket.com to see what's new, and visit Ottavola on Red Banks Road every Saturday starting at 4. Ottavola, Pirates supporting Pirates. There's a common misbelief today that to make it further, you need to push yourself, that you need to give up any joy to continue your rigid routine. Or you could try another way. Take some time to enjoy life, like having a Michelob Ultra with friends, because happiness is essential to living an exceptional life. Michelob Ultra, a refreshing and balanced flavor with only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Michelob Ultra, proudly distributed by Carolina Eagle Distributing since 1989.
This is Pirate Radio, WGHB Farmville, 1250 and 92.7 FM Greenville, WDLX Washington, 930 and 104.1 FM Washington. The following is an exclusive presentation of Pirate Radio, the voice of the pirate nation. This is Eastern North Carolina's longest-running sports radio call-in show. The Brian Bailey Show is on the air. The Brian Bailey Show on Pirate Radio is brought to you by
The Angus Grill, Bostic Sugg Furniture, Bojangles, East Coast Grading, Greenville Auto World, Papa John's, Greenville Utility Company, Michelob Ultra, The Rick House, Taft and Hagler, and Tiebreakers.
And now, here's Brian Bailey.
All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome into our show. We're getting closer and closer to the start of the Pirate baseball season. We've got Austin Knight live in the studio with us. We'll get the very latest on Pirate baseball. You had a busy weekend, right, with all the scrimmages and everything?
Yeah, fun weekend, scrimmaging. Had 3 scrimmages this weekend, getting the guys kind of acclimated back into their routines and playing each other. But, fun weekend and beautiful weather this past weekend.
There you go, and we need some more beautiful weather, don't we? We'll have our Facebook Live cranked up so you can check us out there. And if you have a question or comment, we'll pass it along to Austin Knight. We'll take our first commercial break and come back with our show on this Monday, starting your baseball week after this.
East Coast Grading and Utilities is your source for clearing, hauling dirt, and concrete work. East Coast Grading and Utilities handles all sewer and water issues as well.
I'm David Vaughn. Whether putting in a new subdivision or helping you with any and all of your drainage problems, I can get the job done. Call me at 531-7494.
No job is too big or too small. East Coast Grading and Utilities. Friends helping friends. 531-7494 for East Coast Grading and Utilities.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers in Greenville, plus the all-new Tiebreakers in Winterville. Do real burgers better than anybody. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, real burgers at its best.
Everybody loves burgers. Turkey, ham, bacon, these and other meats are great around the holidays and every other day, but they all leave behind grease when you cook them, and grease is a real pain in the drain. When you pour grease down a drain, it cools and can clog sewer lines. That can lead to sewer spills, which are messy, bad for the environment, and can also be expensive. Never pour grease down the drain. Instead, collect it in a container like a used soup can or jar. Let it cool and throw it away in the trash. Together, we can protect our sewer system and the environment. For more information, go to GUC.com.
It's bow time. Chicken or biscuits? That's an impossible choice. How can you decide between Bojangles' perfectly crispy, boldly seasoned chicken or their fluffy, made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuits? Well, the good news is you don't have to. With a Cajun chicken filet biscuit, you get the best of both worlds. An all-white meat chicken breast marinated with a bold blend of seasonings and served up on a fluffy, golden buttermilk biscuit. When it comes to real-deal Southern flavor, there's no reason you can't have it all. Order a Cajun chicken filet biscuit today. It's bow time.
Okay, guys, I've devised a plan to find better home internet. Kids, you scout the web for the best deals. Honey, you monitor our projected data usage.
Or we could avoid that hassle and go with U.S. Cellular's home internet.
New plan. Ellen, you sign up for U.S. Cellular home internet. Madison, you bring me snacks while I stream the game.
Bundle and save on U.S. Cellular's new and improved home internet. Just $29.99 when bundled with a wireless plan. U.S. Cellular, built for us.
This is Brandon Tate, owner and operator of Atlantic Wireless, an authorized agent for U.S. Cellular since 1997. Visit AtlanticWireless.com to find the store near you. We go beyond the call.
This is Holt Nailers for my friends at Anson Belts, the belts that I wear. Go to AnsonBelt.com to find micro-adjustable holeless belts with over 30-plus options of a 1/4 inch apart instead of your typical 5 holes 1 inch apart, always giving you the perfect fit every time. If your waist fluctuates, Anson Belt is great because you can always find the perfect fit any time of the year. AnsonBelt.com. Over 10,000 combinations to choose from, a belt for every occasion, and the official belt of the Holt Naylor Show.
Hi, this is Brian Meador from East Carolina Athletics. You're listening to Pirate Radio, the voice of the Pirate Nation.
You're listening to The Brian Bailey Show, powered by Greenville Utilities, providing reliable utility solutions to the Greenville region since 1905. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back on this Monday, getting your sports week off to a great start, talking Pirate baseball. Austin Knight, pitching coach at East Carolina, live in the studio with us. As we said, our Facebook Live feed is cranked up. If you have a question or comment for Austin, we'll pass it along to him. Can you believe you're already getting ready for season number 3 as a pitching coach at East Carolina?
No, and I told Thomas Francisco was here yesterday. He was at our scrimmage, and I was talking to him, and I was like, man, the years keep flying by. You know, I mean, this is actually my 5th season here in Greenville.
That's right.
And it feels like just yesterday that I got here. And so the years keep going by fast, but man, am I thankful to be here in Greenville and coaching here.
Yeah, and you got to think that what a great experience it is as a young coach. And young coaches have to work their way up, don't they? I mean, you don't just get into a slot like that. I mean, you have to work your way up, and you're able to do that.
Yeah, oftentimes whenever you start, you say you want to get into coaching. Well, your first couple jobs are not going to be the most fun, the most fun things that you're going to do in your entire life. And so you pay your dues a lot, and it doesn't happen to everyone. Some people are fortunate and get opportunities. But, yeah, for me, I started as a graduate assistant at Arkansas Little Rock, where I was really doing everything from field care to laundry to coaching the players to scouting reports to being the director of operations and running camps and doing all sorts of stuff. And then, you go over and you're volunteer assistant. I think I was a volunteer assistant for, 4 or 5 years prior to ever becoming a paid assistant coach here, and so it's certainly an inexact science, but that's the way that the coaching industry works, man. You gotta pay your dues, you gotta learn systems, and you work your way up.
You worked for 2 years under Coach Dietrich, Jason Dietrich, who's now the head coach of Cal State Fullerton. He's going to bring his squad in for the LeClaire Classic, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome, and so thankful for my friendship and relationship with Coach Dietz, and he's a mentor of mine, certainly. And, I texted with him last night. He's just talking about all the rain that they're about to get in California, which is a ton, and, just texting back and forth with him. But thankful for my time with him, one of the best minds in college baseball when it comes to the game and, of course, pitching and all of those things. But even more than that, he's a great friend, and he's a guy that he's never been a big ego guy or anything of that sort. Just a guy that you could always lean on whenever you need something, and he builds the people up around him, which is really unique.
Seems like he came back around Christmas. Was it last year he came back?
Yeah, he came back this year as well. They still have their house.
That's
here
what I thought.
And they got a beach house out in Emerald Isle now, and so they come back for the holidays. And so I saw him over Thanksgiving. Us and the Plumbos and them, we all went out to dinner, hung out with them in their families, and it's always fun when we can get back together. So I'm excited for him to bring his team in. They'll be well coached, of course.
Right.
But even more than that, just excited to see him and reconnect a little bit.
And that's it's always a very emotional weekend, with Lynn LeClaire usually comes back with the kids, and we get to revisit the whole thing with Coach LeClaire and everything that happened with that. And to add in with Coach Dietrich coming back and him bringing Cal State Fullerton back, I just think it's going to be, it's already a super, super great event, but it's going to move up even higher.
Yeah, it's a special weekend for sure because, there's, of course, great atmospheres, great fan base for those games. And then you add in the Coach LeClaire connection of the weekend, and then Coach Dietz coming in. It's never really that much fun to play your friends. It's always one of those things where you'd rather watch them have success instead of compete against them necessarily. But it's an awesome weekend, and really it's the closest thing you get to a regional. You got 4 different teams coming in, and you got to prepare for all 3 teams, and it's really good because you're playing someone different every single day.
When you think back to playing friends, I think about Clemson now. With everything that goes on there with the coaching staff at Clemson being so close to you guys. I mean that's and they're right up there as far as the rankings go with East Carolina.
Oh yeah, and that's really cool for Coach Godwin, former teammates, and them, all wearing 23.
Yeah.
And the connection that they have through Coach LeClaire, and of course playing here at East Carolina, is really unique. And so them being in our area is a little bit different because now we're recruiting against them at times as well, of course, and and compete. We play against them in the fall and different things like that. But I think back to when they were at Michigan and they came to the LeClaire Classic in 22, and the moment that they spent at home plate before the game. And the ovation that they gave Coach Bakich, Coach Schnabel. I thought that was really, really cool and not something that you see really anywhere else in the country.
Yeah, and it's just the respect, I think, that Pirate fans, they know the history, they know, the relationships and everything like that, and it really means a lot. And that was a big deal in that LeClaire Classic. I mean, we've got a big deal coming up with Coach Dietrich in this year's LeClaire Classic. Take us through the weekend this past weekend. What you're trying to do right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're trying to get everybody acclimated to, hey, this is what we're going to be doing pretty soon. We're going to be playing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you'll have a midweek game or 2 sometimes, but really, those conference games are the huge games, and you're kind of getting everybody, the body's ready for that, in shape, that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely, and that kind of goes on both sides. And so this past week, of course, we have starters for each day. So really, you're training 6 guys right now as starting pitchers to pitch, obviously Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But we drafted relievers because I wanted them to get in the habit of not really actually knowing when they're going to come into the game. And so we drafted relievers, and we played three games. 2 of the games were 6 innings, and 1 game was 7 innings. Just because, of course, you're still building up pitch counts and all the innings. And so it was a competitive weekend. I thought there was good on both sides of the ball. Definitely good, offensively, defensively, and of course pitching. But like I said, we're trying to at this point get guys into rhythm, get them to understand what is expected of them, and then go out there and execute our system. That's what we're evaluating our guys on right now, is who can go out there and do the things that we coach and practice all the time and execute them, and of course play a winning brand of baseball.
How hard is it when you guys are trying to pitch it well, and those guys are trying to hit it well, and you're all playing for the same team?
Yeah, the preseason is a double-edged sword.
Right.
I think that regardless of how good one side of the baseball is, somebody's going to go home a little bit frustrated or angry, one way or another. And so you kind of got to look at the bigger picture, look at how guys are playing, how they're carrying themselves, and kind of stay away from the results of the weekend and of the scrimmages. Because, this time we're still trying to get better. We're still focused on getting a little bit better every single day, as we will be in the spring. But we can't be so result driven that we can't see the bigger picture and can't see how we need to improve on a daily basis.
And when you're looking at pitch counts and that kind of thing, and you have to look at the weather as well, because this time of year, if it's 80 degrees outside, you can kind of throw more, can't you?
Yeah, in theory, the body will certainly acclimate better to the weather. But we keep it pretty strict in the preseason. Like we have a cap of what the pitch count is for starters, what relievers are, what we're trying to do with them. Are we trying to get relievers to throw multiple times on the weekend, all of those things. And so it's a slow build up. It's not something where we're trying to force a guy to be at 100 pitches come opening weekend.
Right.
We gotta keep in mind the bigger picture and it being the end of the season and make sure that guys are healthy then and kind of hitting their stride, right? And so it's going to be a continuous, steady build up even as the season gets going.
What stood out, say, on Friday's scrimmage?
Well, I mean, I think what stands out is that, you have Trey Savage and Zach Root up there, and that they're both extremely talented and getting into rhythm. And then I think that with those guys throwing, I think our offense did a really nice job of making them work, to be honest, making them work and not just giving in to the talent level that's on the mound. And so, it's always good to see those guys out there. And I think our offense has done a really good job of making our pitchers better over the last, 3 days and challenging them to execute and make pitches, and when they don't, of course, hurting them as well. But you talk about Friday, you had Trey and Root going after each other, and then what was cool is we were able to get this weekend a lot of freshmen, a lot of young guys in some pretty big situations of the scrimmage, and so definitely think that was a benefit. But I think that the whole weekend was really pretty competitive.
Yeah, and what you're trying to do right now is you're trying to figure out your 3 starters on the weekends, and then you're trying to figure out who's going to start in midweek games.
Yeah.
And those midweek games, and we've said it so many times through the years, it's kind of odd, but some of those midweek games are huge games as far as what fans think of, the NC States and the rivalries and that kind of thing. But it's kind of a, if I'm trying to get one of the 3 slots on the weekend and I don't measure up or you guys go a different route, I still got to be pretty happy. Maybe I'll get a starting job in the midweek, and that could be really big too.
Yeah, those we say it all the time. I mean, every game is extremely important, especially for us, man, when it comes to RPI.
Right.
And the committee just values RPI so much. I mean, you look up last year, and I think we had the second most wins in program history, and we didn't host a regional.
Right.
And so that all came down to RPI and us not winning enough games in the middle of the week against at some points higher ranked RPI teams. And so they're all really important, right? And so you go into each game and you try to have the best plan you can, but we're going to do what's necessary to win the game, of course. And so when you get into those middle of the weeks, you're evaluating matchups and seeing who would be good against Team X, and you go with them. And then you try to line up your bullpen the best you can, because of course it's the balancing of you're going through the weekend. Of course you're taxing arms and you're doing different things, but then in the middle of the week you gotta go win those games as well. But you also got to be ready for Friday, next game, right? And so it's definitely a balancing act and figuring out what's the best strategy to play against this team. How can we match up our guys with our strengths against that team, and what's going to give us the best opportunity to win a game.
And sometimes you're looking at a situation where you play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, depending on how taxing the bullpen is used to what you can do Tuesday, Wednesday. And sometimes you don't have a Tuesday, Wednesday. Sometimes you just have a Tuesday or just have a Wednesday.
Right.
That's a big advantage. But if you do have the 5 games in a week, that can be taxing for sure.
It can be difficult for sure. When you're talking about playing that many innings in a short and condensed time, it can be interesting. And so, like I said, you just got to be tactful. You got to make sure that you're understanding how guys are feeling and who's the best matchup and who needs an extra day of rest and how can we get the most out of each guy going into those weeks. And luckily, we don't play a ton of those 5-game weeks, but they really prepare you, man. You get into a loser's bracket situation in a conference tournament or something like that, and you're playing. I mean, I can't remember how many games we played this past year in the conference tournament, but we played the maximum that you could play, right? And so it prepares you for when adversity hits in those situations, or getting into a loser's bracket of a regional, whatever it may be, right? And so you try to, of course, be mindful of the arms and how they're feeling, but in the long run, it ends up helping out.
Yeah, and it's got to help out in the long run, but you've got to have enough arms to be able to do it. And that's with these young guys coming in, you're still trying. You know what they can do, but you don't know what they can do in a college uniform.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And that's I think early on in the year, it's really important to make sure that we're getting them in the right situations, and maybe not feeding them to the wolves, so to speak. And so that looks different for each guy and kind of where they're at in their process and their development and everything like that. But it's just so important with freshmen and guys who haven't played at this level, is that maybe it's really good to get them in the middle of the game whenever the game's not necessarily on the line yet, or maybe if we're up big, or even if we're down, right? It's get those guys out there, get them in an advantageous situation for them, so that they can build confidence. And ultimately, like, this game comes down so much to confidence and your mental headspace. And so if guys can build confidence, these young guys can build confidence as the season goes on. I think about Trey as a freshman. Trey as a freshman was put in some tough situations early, and he wasn't great early on, but we kept running him out there, right, and kept putting him in situations, and he grew over time and ended up being a key piece for us at the end of the year when he was a freshman in regionals and super regionals. And so you just got to make sure that you're building confidence and making sure guys understand that it's okay to fail. It's all right to fail, and we'll continue to get better from it as long as you're learning from those situations.
And baseball is a game of failure, and how you react to those failures is how much success you tend to have.
Absolutely, and that's you try to tell that to the guys, is that failure is an opportunity. It's not the end of the line, right? It's an opportunity to learn, to get better, to grow. And a lot of times, whenever you fail, you want to work a little bit harder, if you have the right mindset towards it. And so I think that failure can at times really boost a guy and really put them in the right direction to where they need to be. And it helps you address so much, right? I think it's hard for young guys who succeed early to understand that, hey, adversity's coming, and you have got to be prepared for it and understand that, like, when it does hit, the next day is important. You got to be in the right mindset to get better, to address the things, and over time, man, if you have that type of mindset, then you'll improve greatly.
So when guys have the competitions that they have on the weekends, so this is a Monday. Mondays, you guys usually have the players off. Is that right?
Yeah, it's an off day, but
they can come in and do their own.
All of our guys are on all of our starters anywhere are on a 7-day schedule, and so they know what their throwing looks like on each day, right? So they take one off day from throwing per week. But, like Trey and Root, guys like that who threw on Friday, today is more of a moderate day where they're kind of ramping the intensity back up. Tomorrow would be a bullpen for them. Wednesday would be a recovery day. Then Thursdays, you're starting to ramp the intensity back up to be ready for Friday. Right. And all of their lifting is based around that as well. But, yeah, Monday is a team off day. The guys will lift weights. We'll have a pitchers meeting to kind of go over the weekend and break down some things that we can get better at, and of course, encourage the things that we did well. But all of our starters are on a 7-day split, so each day looks different for them. And of course, within the standards of what they need to do as well, right? Like what they feel is best for them. And so it's not necessarily that everybody is doing the exact same thing. And so a lot of the relievers today is more of a recovery day and kind of get their feet and their arm back underneath them and lift some weights and get ready to go throughout this week.
So when you have your meeting today with the pitchers, what are some of the things you're going to touch on?
Well, we'll talk a lot about just mentality stuff, to be honest, and we'll talk about what guys did when they were out there this weekend that was a positive. And so guys who threw well, you should talk of some examples through what pitcher X did, pitcher Y did. But a lot of the time it's just reinforcing what our process are, what our process goals are on each given day, and then just bringing up examples of who did a good job of these things and why they did a good job of these things. And then a lot of times, like, we'll talk as a team about things that we need to get better at, but a lot of times those conversations are more individual. Whenever, maybe somebody failed, well, they're going to come into my office and we're going to break it down. We're going to watch some video. We're going to make sure the mindset's in a good place. But today it'll be we're going to talk a lot about, what a championship day looks like, right? Like what a championship practice looks like. Even whenever you're in a recovery day, like, what does that look like for all of us? And I just like to reinforce the daily habits more so than the results of things to make sure that we're trending in the right direction.
Austin Knight, pitching coach at East Carolina, our guest live in the studio. We'll take a commercial break right now. We'll come back. We'll talk more Pirate pitching, getting you ready for opening day, February 16th, coming up. Riders in town. And that's a good Rider team that's coming to town. So we'll talk more about that with Austin Knight after this.
This is a Pirate Radio Sports Break. I'm Shirley Rhodes. The East Carolina women's basketball team down Wichita State yesterday, 72-51. Tatiana Weish became the first player in program history to record a double-double with 7 or more blocks, and Danae McNeil added 23 points and 7 rebounds in the win. The Pirates are now 13-8 overall, 6-4 in conference play, and they'll have a few days off before they return to Minges on Saturday when they host Charlotte for a 2 o'clock contest. The East Carolina Department of Athletics announced announced that season ticket orders for the 2024 football campaign are now being accepted. Renewal applications are in the process of being mailed to 2023 season ticket holders and Pirate Club members, but fans can utilize the ECU online ticket center, reserve by phone, or visit the ticket office to make purchases by an April 8th priority deadline. And in the Canadian Football League, the Ottawa Red Blacks have signed former Pirate Justin Hardy to a one-year extension on a deal worth around $140,000. This has been a Pirate Radio Sports Break. I'm Shirley Rhodes.
Hi, I'm Walker Allen Volova, and I'm with CopyPro. CopyPro has been locally owned and operated here in Eastern North Carolina for over 50 years. CopyPro is the leader in office technology. Does your business struggle with keeping printing costs low or producing professional documents? Here at CopyPro, total satisfaction is our #1 priority. We have a variety of solutions to help reduce your printing expenses and make your business more productive. Call us today at 1-800-682-6558 or online at copypro.net. CopyPro, we are the professional office systems people.
North Carolina State Parks invites you to enjoy camping your way. With the weather changing, booking your own cabin is the perfect solution for your camping getaway. Reserve campsites or cabins today at Jones Lake, Goose Creek, and Cliffs of the Neuse. Whether you enjoy traditional camping or air-conditioned cabins that can be rented with Wi-Fi, your next adventure can include hiking, beautiful scenery, and sunsets by the campfire. For information on booking a cabin, visit ncparks.gov.
UBE and PirateWear.com are proud to offer the Pirate Nation its largest inventory of ECU merchandise and tailgate supplies ever. UBE has the best prices in town, so that makes UBE your one-stop shop for all things ECU. UBE does daily restocks of Champion, Adidas, and Under Armour. Don't forget to bring your young pirates to plunder the Crow's Nest, which is the only kids store dedicated to ECU. Plenty of free parking in Uptown Greenville. Visit them online at PirateWear.com. Go Pirates!
Are you struggling with weight loss? It might be 15 pounds or 115 pounds. It seems like losing weight involves too much exercise and not enough food. Well, no more. Semaglutide is an FDA-approved treatment offered by Arc Point Labs. Dr. John Bruce, a board-certified bariatric surgeon, will consult and oversee your entire weight loss journey. Transform yourself and get ready for the beach next summer. This program is safe, cost-effective, and has a physician oversight. Call Arc Point Labs today at 514-8049.
This is Kim McNeil, head women's basketball coach at East Carolina University, and you're listening to Pirate Radio, the voice of the Pirate Nation.
You're listening to The Brian Bailey Show, powered by Greenville Utilities. Community owned, community powered. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back to our show as we continue talking Pirate baseball, getting it set for opening. They're hard to believe. We're almost there, right? We got another week and a half. Is that right?
Goes by fast. By fast and gets here in a hurry.
Yeah, it does that. And in the season, in some ways, the season is a blur, and in some ways, the season takes forever. I guess it kind of depends on how the winds are coming.
There's no doubt about that. I mean, sometimes of the season seems like it's like dragging, and then of course you look up and it's May and you're like, how did this happen?
Yeah,
how did it get here so quick, so.
All right, how old's the little one now?
2, turned 2 in January, and he's wide open. He's all over. He's at the field earlier actually. Mom brought him by for a little bit, and he got some swings in.
Oh, good.
I'm telling you, I don't think he cares at all about baseball. But here recently, he's been swinging the bat a little bit, and I'm like, yes, let's roll.
There you go.
Let's do this.
I'm telling you, I can't wait to be at a game somewhere, and you hear the next batter is number 2. The second baseman or the catcher, because you're a catcher, Deacon Knight. I mean, that's just Deacon is just such a great
it's a good name.
It's a great name. I mean,
it's actually funny. It's not a family name or anything like that. We got the name from the show Nashville.
Did you?
Yeah, we were watching that. Me and my wife were watching that before he was even in the picture at all. And I was like, that's a pretty cool name. And you think about it, and it means to serve and whatnot, and so it has a good meaning to it. But it's a pretty cool name. He's fortunate.
I think about Demon Deacon because of Wake Forest,
right,
and he's running around crazy.
Well, of course, everyone's like, is he going to go to Wake Forest?
No.
I mean,
it's going to be a pirate.
That's not the point, right?
That's right. But it's a great name. Kind of like you think about Maverick, you think about Top Gun. Maverick's a cool name, and Deacon's a cool name.
That's right. Well, I have like one of the most bland, unique names ever, which everyone calls me AK. So Austin's never really used, but I was like, I want our kids to have a cool name.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things, and I was like, what's a good name, like Cal or something like that, or whatever, and so.
It's funny you say that because my first name is Robert Bryan, and then Brian. Nobody calls me Brian. Everybody calls me Bailey, and that's just how it. I mean, I have on the air, anchors will just say Bailey instead of Brian, and it's just been something like that all my. So Brian's kind of a bland name too.
Yeah.
In fact, Coach Gary Overton, was sitting with my first wife at a banquet, and we were talking about names, and he came up with we ought to name my son Ryan after Ryan Sandberg, my favorite player.
Yeah.
And we did. So we got Rhino, which is a cool name too.
That was my mom's favorite player.
Yeah, Ryan Sandberg.
Good player.
Rhino, and not that I like tattoos because I don't, but he's got a big old rhino on his tattoo, and everything. He embraces it, so I think he likes his name. So Deacon's got to get him a little Deacon. Don't tell your wife Taylor he's going to get a Deacon
tattoo. Yeah, I don't think she'd be all in on that.
I don't think so.
We're going to try to keep that from happening. There's nothing wrong with it either. So
that's true. Yeah, there you go. All right, let's talk Pirate pitching. Trey Savage has gotten all these preseason honors and accolades, and obviously he deserves them. How hard is it for him to just concentrate on pitching?
I don't think it's hard for him. He's just a special kid. He's a kid that can kind of block out all that stuff, and he's an awesome teammate, and he's an extremely hard worker, and is very detailed. And so for him, he's just always worried about being the best version of Trey Savage and making sure that he can help the team. And you can't say that about everyone, right? He's a unique kid. He was really raised well by his parents, and I can say that about that whole junior class. It's been a really unique group and a really fun group because, of course, they're very talented. But from the second that they stepped on campus, just the most coachable kids that I've ever been around, and worked really hard. And that doesn't mean there wasn't hard times and things you had to work through. But Trey has just always been so coachable. And early on for him, he had to learn how to pitch. He really did. And so just having that teachable spirit and a guy that wanted to show up and get better every single day, that shows enough about a kid who has that level of talent, right? And so I don't think the accolades, I actually mess with them a lot about them. I'll see
here comes the pitcher of the year.
Yeah, I'll see something on social media and I'll send it to him. I'm gonna be like, hey, I'm glad they give out awards in the preseason.
Right.
This is awesome. Congratulations. But he laughs about it, of course. But just a special kid, special human being, and of course a great talent.
Yeah. When did you first realize that he was this talented, that he was going to be this good?
Gosh, I don't know. I think some of the moments he had his freshman year said that you have something special. But really, I viewed him more as a reliever, certainly at that point. He was 2 pitches and he sprayed the ball a little bit, but he had that knack for the big moment. He was not afraid of it. He always thrived in those situations. It's actually worse when there was nobody on base, which is wild. It's crazy, And then I think you started realizing it about this time last year. He was going out there and he was just absolutely dominating, in spring inter squads and things like that. And, when he came to the spring last year, his kind of coming out party was against North Carolina, where he pitched on Friday. I think Spivey was nursing a little forearm tenderness, and he pitched on Friday and pitched fantastic, and he grew a ton from his freshman year to his sophomore year. The talent was always there. He's a guy that came in throwing the ball hard. Now, he may hit the bull a couple times when he was a freshman, right? And so, but just over time, his growth has been incredible, even into this year, and again, that goes back to him and his work ethic and his willingness to take things and run with it and apply them and apply them quickly and make adjustments quickly. And so, just a unique player, unique kid, and just awesome to be around every day.
And how has he been this spring so far? I mean, has he been pretty dominant?
Really good.
Yeah.
His first 2 outings, he was, elite. He threw. We did like a pitcher hitter the weekend prior to practice starting, and I think he threw 2 innings and punched out 5, and then no walks, no hits. And then first weekend he threw 3 innings, punched out 5, and then this past weekend he didn't command his fastball probably at the level that he would like to, but he just like normal Trey Savage. I think he walked the first 2 guys of his outing, and then he struck out 3 in a row.
Yeah.
And just has that knack for making the big pitch when it matters, and so he's looked great. Physically, he's as strong as ever. Is extremely healthy, and the ball's coming out of his hand extremely well. So it's just about shoring up the details at this point.
I know you guys haven't said the starting, your Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but probably he's Friday. Is that fair to say?
I can't put words in Coach Godwin's mouth. All right, so I played the.
I'm not going to put words in Coach Godwin's mouth.
Fifth here. All right, so.
but probably, and then you look at Saturday, you would have to think Zach Root's right in there.
Yeah, another kid who's made a tremendous jump, since his freshman year, and luckily we were able to put him in pitch in some really big moments as a freshman.
Yes.
And the thing about Zach is that even though we're still working to make things better, he always had the knack for big moments as well. And when you have pitchers like that, man, it gives you so much confidence in putting them into the game. I mean, he had his moment on opening day last year against George Washington where he had a huge outing, right? And then we throw him into the mix to close against North Carolina on a Friday, and it's like looking back, I'm like, what were you doing? But for that kid, I mean, he's the right guy to be in those situations. Yeah. He thrives whenever the game is on the line in the biggest situations and the biggest moments. And you think back to the way he threw in the regional last year, and he's way more equipped as a pitcher now to handle that even better, right? He's addressed some things. He's gotten more physically strong. He's throwing the ball harder. He's commanding the ball better. His breaking ball and his slider are better. And of course, the changeup was already good when he got here. And so he's made a giant jump, and really excited about his progression.
Well, when you see a guy like that, as you just described, are you out in the bullpen and he's showing you what he's got, and you're saying, "Whoa, where'd that come from?" Or that's a little tighter than it was last year.
Yeah, and that was the thing after the season this past year. It's just like with every guy, you sit down with them and hey, here's what we have to get better at. We got to take pressure off your fastball and your changeup. We need something that's going to go to your glove side a little bit better. And we worked throughout the course of the season, of course, to make that happen. And he got better at it in the middle of the season. But just summer baseball at times can be so beneficial because guys get to go out and really just figure out things on their own and make things their own and take ownership in them. And so when he came back and we threw the first bullpen with him after we rested him for a while, he threw his breaking ball. I was like, oh, that looks a lot different, right? Like that's a really good pitch. And so I think you definitely have those moments, and then of course everyone's story is different though. Everyone's story is different, and how they come across acquiring the repertoire that they need, the arsenal that they need, and of course the confidence that they need is everyone has a different story.
Yeah, and the different stories, and it's kind of neat when you see the guys coming as freshmen and you read some of their accolades and they've got talent, but it's rare that a freshman can come in right away and dominate. It just takes some growth and maturity for guys to get there.
Yeah, it's just harder, right? You're playing against more talented players on a regular basis. You're in a new place. You just moved away from home for the first time in your life, and you're learning how to deal with that, and you're learning how to deal with academics, which is a high priority within our program, and you're learning how to deal with all of it, right? And the weight room and working harder than you've ever worked, and your body's tired and all those things. And so I've said this many times, but the freshman fall is like the hardest 3-4 months of your life. I'm telling you, it's so difficult. It's just hard because you're just having to adapt to so much. And I remember being a freshman and Coach Godwin's just on my tail all the time as a freshman. And he's the coach, he's the catching coach, he's the hitting coach, he's my academic coach, and he's just pushing me as hard as I've ever been pushed before in my life. And the weights are hard, and you're homesick a little bit because you're away from home for the first time, and you just have to deal with so much of that. And then once you get comfortable and you know what's coming, that's when guys really grow. And that's where I feel like even our freshmen that are here right now have taken a good step forward, even since October and November, just because they know what is expected. They know they have to work hard. They know that things are going to be asked of them that are of high attention to detail on a daily basis. And so, sometimes it just takes some time within a program to get that confidence and to work hard every single day, and you see growth, of course.
Henry comes in as your hitting coach now. Who was the better player?
Well, he was my backup, my senior. No.
He did kind of mention that, but he was like, I shouldn't have been that way. But
no, he's definitely a better player than me. There's no question. I mean, he's a 7th rounder, played in the Phillies organization, made it up to AA or AAA. I can't remember which. He was definitely a more talented player than me. I just happened to be a senior and had been a part of the program for a longer time, and so could navigate it a little bit better than him at that time.
Yeah.
Throughout the course of a season, but he was a much more talented player than me. I was a very average player in my mind. I was a coach's son, so I could do the little things well, and so people like that, I guess.
You can tell though, you guys are cut out of the same mold, because he did a great job last week on the show, just talking about hitting, and you can just tell that he's got that demeanor like you do with the pitchers, with the hitters. I mean, it's not a demanding type style. It's a, hey, this is what we got to do, and you can't. You're not my friend until you graduate, but we're going to get you along there, and we still love each other.
There's no doubt, and he's the best. He's the best, and a really close friend of mine, and of course known him for forever. And our families are really tight. I mean, his wife is actually from the same hometown as I am. It's wild, and so. But when it comes to him, I don't know that there's more intelligent coaches in the country, and he really, really relates well to the players. He can have a difficult conversation and then love on them as well, right?
And that's the key.
It is so important as a coach to be able to do both, because if you're just yelling at them all the time, the buy-in's not going to be as high. And so, but between him and Brian Packard, man, our players are so blessed to have those two guys around all the time.
Because Pack's been around.
Oh my goodness,
and he could hit it.
He could hit it, and he's hilarious, and he's smart, and he knows how to, like I said, both those guys know how to relate extremely well, and it's really cool to see their dynamic, because they're always talking about guys in the they both come and sit in my office all day pretty much. This is my office, the coach's lounge, I think. But they come and sit in there, and they talk about guys, and it's productive conversations, and they're both like very smart, but share different ideas, and I just think their working relationship is so cool, and both of them were obviously very, very good players. And so our guys immediately have built-in respect with that, but they don't carry, like, they don't act like they're better players than our players.
Right.
They don't have that sort of ego.
Right.
In fact, they have no ego. They just want our guys to get better and want to work with them and help them achieve their goals, which, in my opinion, from our coaching staff is why our coaching staff is awesome. And we share a really good bond between our coaching staff, but our coaching staff really keeps the main thing. It just wants our players to be the best versions of themselves every single day.
Well, very well said. Austin Knight, pitching coach at East Carolina. We'll take a break right now, come back and continue on talking Pirate baseball with Coach Knight after this.
Even better than going to Jimmy John's? The great taste of Jimmy John's coming to you. Check out their convenient catering bundle, including a 12-pack of half sandwiches made with fresh baked bread, hand-sliced meats, and fresh veggies, plus 2 premium sides, 15 chips, and 15 desserts, all for one great price. You can also choose an a la carte option. Pick it up, or they'll set it up for you. And don't forget Jimmy John's loyalty app with a free sandwich after your first visit. Jimmy John's in Greenville and Wilson, and online at jimmyjohns.com.
Here with Christy Conway today from ENC Pirate Realty, and you guys are more than real estate agents.
That's right. We also provide property management services for rental properties. We have found that rental property owners have difficulty managing their rental properties effectively. We can provide full-service property management to those owners to include advertising their homes for rent, tenant screening, rent collections, and maintenance coordination. If you have real estate or property management questions, contact us at encpiraterealty.com. Go Pirates!
For years, Callie Ann Phelps has been singing about Phelps Chevrolet.
Phelps Chevrolet is the one for you. Low prices, service too. See the big dealer right away. Carolina's finest, Phelps Chevrolet.
And you'll agree with what Skylar Phelps has to say.
Nobody beats Phelps Chevrolet's prices. Nobody.
The name you can depend on. Phelps Chevrolet.
Get you one.
While you're sleeping, our whole hogs are slow cooking over wood to create that bite that Eastern North Carolina is known for. I'm Sam Jones, and for more than 3 generations, my folks have been the torchbearers for what whole hog barbecue is supposed to be. At Sam Jones, you'll find plenty of smoke, but no mirrors. Everything, and I mean everything, is made fresh daily, including our sides, sweets, and sauces. Come on over and see us at Sam Jones Barbecue, and I bet you'll be able to taste our passion in just one bite. Sam Jones Barbecue, Fire Tower Road.
Pepsi Zero Sugar has taken its flavor to the next level. A Zero Sugar Cola has never tasted this good. But we don't expect you to take our word for it, so we're putting it to the test. Starting with me. My mouth is watering already, so I think we can skip the drum roll and get right to the main event. Cue the fireworks. We have an official best Zero Sugar ever. It's delicious, it's refreshing, and it's so good you'll need to try it for yourself. Trust me. Pepsi Zero Sugar. Zero never tasted so good. That's what I like.
The Angus Grill is your premier spot for the best burgers, cheesesteaks, and brisket sandwiches around. Join us for our unmatched variety of burger combinations. From the mushroom bacon Swiss burger to the jalapeno popper burger to the original Angus Classic. Pair that burger with our amazing onion rings, tots, fries, or sweet potato fries. Angus Grill, with 4 amazing locations in Eastern North Carolina, including Winterville near Pitt Community College, on Jarvis Street in Uptown Greenville, and on Statensburg Road near the hospital. It's the best burger around, guaranteed.
This is Jacob Jenkins Cowart, and you're listening to Pirate Radio, the voice of the Pirate Nation.
You're listening to The Brian Bailey Show, powered by Greenville Utilities. Community-owned utilities mean local control, low rates, and high reliability. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back. Austin Knight, pitching coach at East Carolina, is our guest. We're kind of running down the odds of who does what. And really, when you look at it, your first weekend, you may go with A, B, and C, and that most always doesn't stay the same the whole year, does it?
No, it doesn't. For a multitude of reasons, right? It could be anything from guys performing well or poor, or health issues, just because the season's a long season and guys at times get nicked up. And so very, very seldom does it end the way that it starts, right? But you would like to, of course, have all the answers on the front end if possible, and put the guys in the best positions for themselves. But that's the beauty about baseball, is that guys emerge as the season goes on, and throw the ball outstanding and play great. And so sometimes you have to make adjustments as a coach, and I think that's a good thing whenever players are forcing your hand a little bit.
Who were some of the players, the arms you're looking at for that third slot on the weekend?
Yeah, I think, between 3 or 4 guys, right. Jake Hunter, Wyatt Lunsford-Shinkman, Jaden Winter, Chris Kaler's been throwing a little bit as a starter. Really, those guys are kind of in the mix for it. I'd say right now Jake Hunter's in the lead for it, but they've all thrown great.
Right.
They've all thrown great, and so I think obviously the competition continues this weekend, and like I said, you want guys to force you to put them in that spot, right? You don't want to necessarily guess with it, and so but all of those guys have thrown great. It's just it comes down to who is the most valuable in what position, who is the most valuable in the bullpen, who's the most valuable as a starter, who can you get the most out of, who needs to throw multiple times a week, and so I think all of that comes into play. And so there can be some guys who absolutely can go and pitch in the Sunday spot, but man, they're really valuable in big spots out of the bullpen. And for us, and I think for any program really that's successful, is that you got to have those guys who can get big outs at the end of the game. You just do.
Yep.
So as much as you'd like everyone to throw complete games every time they go out there, is probably not going to happen.
Probably not.
Maybe this is the year. I don't know.
Yeah.
But probably not going to happen, and you just need veteran presence. You need guys who have been in the fire, who can get big outs and have weapons to get big outs at the end of the game.
How about Danny Beal? Do you look at him as a true closer, or is he the true guy that comes in when you're in trouble, or is he a combination of both?
Really.
Yeah,
both. I think he can do whatever you want him to do, and he's been awesome, and he's throwing the ball great, and looks better than ever, really. And so there was times last year he closed the game. There was times last year where he'd come in and throw 5, 6 innings, and so and I think you got to have guys like that on your staff as well. I mean, I would love for him to obviously close games, but as I've said before, is that some of the most meaningful outs can happen in the 6th, 7th, 5th inning, the 4th inning. It doesn't matter.
The last out sometimes is not that big a deal, but those outs, with runners at 2nd and 3rd and one out.
And saving runs when they're out there, right?
Yeah.
If you're in a situation you got one out and you got bases loaded, is who can keep them from scoring multiple runs, right? Because that can be the game. And luckily here at East Carolina, we've always had a pretty good offense, right? Like we've been able to score runs. And so sometimes saving those runs in the 6th, well, you might have a 5-run inning in the 7th or in the 8th. Right, and so that becomes a bigger margin, and so sometimes the most important outs right there in the middle of the game, you're going to use your best guy in those situations, and then if he finishes the game, that's great. If we expand the lead and we use some different arms, that's awesome too, right? And so that's kind of what I think about with Danny, but he can really serve any role on our staff.
In 2022, Carter Spivey was the first reliever to win the American Pitcher of the Year.
Yeah,
and do you think Beal may be something like that? He could be.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think he kind of was last year at times,
he was,
right?
Yeah.
And really unique the way that Spivey won that award and the way that he was pitched. And it's kind of funny that actually became the plan, right? At the end of the year, in the middle of the year, whatever it might be, is like we're gonna start a guy, but like Spivey is gonna come in and he's gonna finish this thing, even if he's throwing 5 innings,
right?
Whatever, right? And that kind of became the tandem between him and Saylor, and then Ben Terwilliger at the end of the year, and Agnos. And Trey was the guy that was going to get us out of the jam, and then we were going to give the ball to somebody else. And so we were really that year trying to get 3, maybe 4 innings out of our starter because we knew our strength was in the bullpen.
Right.
That year was crazy because we'd give up 3 in the first 3 innings, and then we shut them out the rest of the game. Down the stretch in that 20-game win streak. And so, maybe not as traditional as some people would like it, including myself, but it was certainly super effective.
Yeah, it was, and that 20-game win streak was phenomenal, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, some of the most fun times on a baseball field that I've ever had. Just a really unique team, and a team that came together when it mattered the most, right? I think back, so many fond memories of that year because you're showing up to the baseball field and it just felt like you couldn't lose.
Right.
It's just like no way you were going to lose, and our players felt that way, which was most important.
Yep.
And they just they took over that team and took over the motivation, and they never got down on themselves, whether they were down, up, whatever. I mean, I think back to even that Game 3 of the Super Regional versus Texas, where they beat us pretty good on that day, but our guys never felt like they were out of it at any point. And so definitely a special group.
Yeah, and it was one of those situations where guys would go to the field, we'd start watching the game, 3-1, 4-1, you're down or whatever, and even everybody watching were like, okay, they're going to come back, and they did every time. And it was like somehow, some way we're going to win this game.
Yeah, it's really cool, man, and that just showed. I think that starts with the players because of the belief that they had, right? Of course, we believed in them from day one, but the belief that our players had that they were going to win the game regardless of the scenario, that's super, effective for everyone around, right? And so, the players believe it, so the fans believe it, the coaches, of course, believe it. Everyone believes that we're going to win that game regardless of what situation we're in the 4th or 5th or whatever inning. I think that gives you a lot of confidence, of course, as a coach, whenever your players can really have that sort of competitive edge and swagger about them, that when you show up to the field, you don't have to worry about where their heads are at.
And college baseball teams just don't win 20 in a row. It's just something that great teams don't win 20 in a row.
No, I mean hardly any, right?
Yeah.
And so really, really cool, and one of those times that I'll always remember, certainly.
Yeah. When you think back about pitchers in the past or the last couple of years, do any of the new guys resemble any of those guys? You can think the fans would say, like, well, that guy's kind of like this guy.
That's an interesting question. As far as comparing guys, I'm trying to think. We have more left-handers on our freshman wise. We have more left-handed pitching, which is a positive, of course, for the future. Right? Is that you have more opportunities to match up with guys, and so I don't know if there's like direct comparisons with guys.
Yeah.
I've got some similar left-handers that are similar in stature to like C.J. Mayhew and things like that. Now, hopefully they can get that competitiveness that C.J. Mayhew ECU had, right? But the stuff would be similar, I would say. But I think there's just a lot of different looks from that freshman class and those young guys that I think can really pay dividends down the stretch, because they're just different than a lot of the arms that we've had, which I think is an awesome thing.
Yeah.
So you just have the ability to mix and match and have some variety in the bullpen, as opposed to everyone that just kind of looks the same or throws the same stuff. I think that's a big time positive.
Hope to see Connor Norby in the majors this year. He does everything he can do so far. I mean, he's really been incredible in the minors, kind of like what Burley did in the minors. I mean, very similar with some of the things we're able to do. His brother Ethan's on the staff. How's he looking so far?
Yeah, he's had his good moments, and he's had some tough moments that he's had to learn from. I think early in the fall he was pretty dominant, right? And then went to Virginia and had a tough outing in Virginia. We started him against Virginia, who is a tremendous offensive team every year, really. And had a tough outing there. And since then, he's been kind of up and down, kind of having some freshman outings and things like that. And had a tough outing this past weekend. Made some errors behind him, and then an inning kind of blew up. But he also had an inning where he went out there and struck out 2 and had a quick out. It was like a 2-minute inning. And so he's a guy that, just like every freshman, they're gonna have to learn and overcome the peaks and valleys of what playing college sports is. But definitely a guy that has shown a ton of promise throughout his time here so far. A guy you'll certainly see in the spring in situations, and a guy that I have a lot of confidence in for the future, certainly.
And out of the transfer portal, talk about some of those guys.
Yeah, I like our group out of the transfer portal. I think there's certainly 3 guys that you could look and see that they'll have big innings under their belt this year. Drew Bryan is a transfer from the University of Chicago, D3 school, and really, really smart. But I think a guy that you're going to see come in short spurts and throw the ball pretty hard with some effective secondary stuff and fill up the strike zone. He was an All-American there at Chicago, and is certainly is an awesome addition to our team, because he's super mature, extremely hard worker, probably one of the hardest workers on our team, and is a very good pitcher. Chris Kaler came from George Washington. We saw him last year. He pitched game 2 against us at the beginning of the year. And that was kind of what put him on our radar when we saw him. And then went up to the Cape and watched him pitch. And just a guy that can really fill up the strike zone, can pitch to both sides of the plate, has a 4-pitch mix that they can throw into the strike zone at any time, works extremely fast. So a guy that the fans will enjoy when he's on the mound. His pace and his tempo are really good. And so we can certainly see him pitching meaningful innings for us this year. And then another left-hander from Seton Hall, Aaron Grolder, which is just a funky left-hander, low slot.
Oh, yeah.
Pounds the strikes.
They're fun to watch, aren't they?
Oh, man, yeah. It's interesting. Ball just moves all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
But throws it into the strike zone, has a bunch of pitches. Another guy that, man, he's just super mature and works extremely hard, and definitely a value to our organization for sure.
How hard does he throw? Because a lot of those lefties throw 78, 80, and you just can't hit them.
83, 87 probably.
Frustrating for hitters.
The ball moves all over the place. And on a staff that has a lot of, power right-handers and a lot of stuff.
It's a different look.
Yeah, it's a different look, and it changes the pace a little bit. And it's a really good changeup. It's a good slider. It's a good cutter, and the fastball just falls off the table. And so a guy that can definitely change the pace and get a lot of outs for you. After whoever pitches, right? Like a Trey pitches or a Root pitches. It's just so different than everybody else on the staff.
Austin Knight, pitching coach at East Carolina, our guest. We'll take our final break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up this edition of the Brian Bailey Show after this.
Now's your chance to save during the year-end clear-out at Bostic Sugg Furniture. We're clearing out the 2023s, which means huge savings for you. Find unheard-of sale prices all across our showroom floor. Save 70% off clearance items. Take an extra 10% off all in-stock custom order furniture, plus 6 months special financing. Get a new mattress at year-end savings, plus all in-stock Last Chance Serta Arctic and Restonic mattresses are half off. The year-end clear-out is finally here, now at Bostic Sugg Furniture.
There's a common misbelief today that to make it further, you need to push yourself, that you need to give up any joy to continue your rigid routine. Or you could try another way. Take some time to enjoy life, like having a Michelob Ultra with friends, because happiness is essential to living an exceptional life. Michelob Ultra, a refreshing and balanced flavor with only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Michelob Ultra, proudly distributed by Carolina Eagle Distributing since 1989.
Hey you. Yeah, you. Have you heard? Greenville Auto World is under new ownership and is now part of the DriveHereNow.com network. DriveHereNow.com is run by local people who buy, service, detail, and sell everything directly to you. Greenville Auto World is now the 5th dealership to join the DriveHereNow.com network. Get car shopping today at DriveHereNow.com and choose a location near you. DriveHereNow.com, serving Eastern North Carolina for over 47 years and proud supporter of the Pirates.
Okay, honey, did you get those things done that I asked you to do?
Yes, dear.
Really? You cleaned the gutters?
Yes, dear.
And replaced our HVAC system?
Yes, dear. Doing it right now.
Really?
I called Delcor. They got us a brand new HVAC unit for just $120 a month. And for only $30 more a month, we got the Delcor service plan that covers preventative maintenance and repairs for 10 years.
Go to DelcorInc.com for a new HVAC system from Trane. It's hard to stop a Trane. Delcor, the service professionals.
Here at Papa John's, we know our stuff.
So try our newest cheesy calzone epic stuffed crust pizza, made with a blend of ricotta and mozzarella, hand stuffed into that Papa John's fresh, never frozen original dough. Get it for a limited time only at Papa John's.
Hey, Pirate fans, Papa John's is the MVP move for game day or any day. Place your order online at papajohns.com and sign up for Papa Rewards. Papa John's, better ingredients, better pizza. Go Pirates!
This is Brian Harris with 360 Golf Carts, Pitt County's go-to shop for all things golf carts. We have E-Z-Go, club car, and utility carts to choose from. Whether it's for the beach, riding around the neighborhood, or working in the yard, 360 Golf Carts has the perfect ride for you. If you have issues with your current cart, take it by my shop for an expert's diagnosis. From parts to sales to service, we have you covered. We will even deliver right to you. So come see me, Brian Harris, on Highway 43, just past D.H. Conley High School. 360 Golf Carts, Pirates supporting Pirates.
Hi, this is Parker Bunch. When I'm not hitting dingers or going viral, I'm listening to Pirate Radio, the voice of the Pirate Nation.
You're listening to The Brian Bailey Show, powered by Greenville Utilities, working for our community, not for shareholders. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back as we wrap things up with Austin Knight, pitching coach at East Carolina, as we get set for opening day. Jeff Palumbo, assistant coach for East Carolina, joins us next week, and then Cliff Godwin will join us the week after that first series. So we hope that first series goes really well with Ryder in town for that one.
Get the scrubs out of the way, get the big guns
That's
on
right.
the next 2 weeks. I like it.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. No scrubs here, that's for sure, because this is an outstanding coaching staff, and we're lucky to have you guys on. When you look at what you want to do with this pitching staff now coming up this weekend, what kind of things you're going to be working on as you continue to get set for for opening day? How does this weekend compare to the other weekends?
I think we're going to try to get it more into a normal game day situation where it's just more conducive to the next weekend. They'll probably wear their full uniforms this weekend, and I imagine that the lineups will be fairly similar to what they'll be that first weekend. Now there will be some obviously different lineups that coach wants to run out there, but more than anything is just making guys comfortable with our timeline, with in and out, right? What the details of in and out looks like, when the team mill is, what batting practice looks like on a game day, all those things. And then from the pitching side of things, I mean, really our process stays the same. Of course you're still building guys up and getting them used to the roles that they will pitch in, but our process of going about each day and each game, it stays the same regardless of if it's a scrimmage or if it's a live game, or if we're playing North Carolina or whoever we're playing. The goals stay the same.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's an exciting time in Greenville, and the guys tailgating out for a game and getting set, and everybody in the jungle, and it's just really an exciting time. And I say it every year, but we get a chance to cheat winter a little bit because spring starts on February 16th, doesn't it?
Yeah, That's right. And man, I'm just so thankful to be a part of a community and in a school that makes baseball so important and makes our guys feel the way that they feel during the spring. I mean, it's not like that everywhere, right? And so I feel so fortunate that Coach Godwin gave me the opportunity to be a part of this coaching staff, and just so thankful for everything that the community of Greenville does for our baseball program.
Very nice. Austin Knight joining us here on the Brian Bailey Show. We're out of time. We'll be here next week with Jeff Palumbo as we continue to get you set for Pirate baseball. We'll see you next week right here on the Brian Bailey Show.
This has been The Brian Bailey Show, powered by Greenville Utilities, and also brought to you by
The Angus Grill, Bostic Sugg Furniture, Bojangles, East Coast Grading, Greenville Auto World, Papa John's, Greenville Utility Company, Michelob Ultra, The Rick House, Taft Hagler, and Tiebreakers.
Join us next week for another edition of The Brian Bailey Show, right here on Pirate Radio. This is Pirate Radio, WGHB Farmville, 1250 and 92.7 FM Greenville, WDLX Washington, 930 and 104.1 FM Washington.
He worked previously for ESPN and ESPN Radio. He is Mike Golick Jr. Mike, it is great to see you, dude. How you feeling?
Honored to be with you. Really excited, and really rolled out the red carpet here. You didn't have to do the whole fountain for me here. Incredible.
Dude, they did do that for you. That's not for me. Because that was not happening until you showed up. Look at that, man. We get the whole show. I love it. Listen, let me start off with this. You and I were